When you hear the name Muhammad Ali, what comes to mind? The knockouts, right? The legend in the ring. But this story, it isn't really about that. We're going to talk about the fights that truly made him who he was, and they happened way outside the ropes.
Yeah, we all know the famous matches. But think about this for a second. What if his real power, his biggest weapon, wasn't in his fists at all? What if it was in his voice, in what he believed in? That's the story we're diving into right now.
You know, at first, people just laughed at him. With all his bold claims and his poems, they just figured, this guy's putting on a show. It's all an act.
But then, he stood up for something real. He started challenging the way things were, and suddenly, that laughter, it turned into hate. Real, serious hate. And when hate didn't work, they tried to shut him down for good. They tried to silence him, to take away everything, his career, his championship titles, his voice. But he just wouldn't be quiet. And right there, in that refusal, that's where the legend was truly born. See, that's why this was never, ever just a sports story. This is about a man who had this massive global stage and used it to fight for what he believed in. He basically kicked off a revolution, not with his fists, but with his ideas. Okay, so to really get how he became this revolutionary figure, we've got to go back, way back to the beginning. Let's see how a kid from Kentucky became, well, one of the most iconic people in history.
And believe it or not, it all started with a stolen bicycle. Can you imagine? He's just a 12-year-old kid, Cassius Clay, and he's furious. He marches into a boxing gym looking for payback, but instead of revenge, he finds his calling. He took all that fire and channeled it, and that path eventually led him straight to an Olympic gold medal in 1960.
Now, you have to understand the time. Back then, the rules for an athlete, especially a young black athlete, were pretty clear. You were supposed to be grateful, be quiet, be humble. Whatever you do, don't make waves. Just do your job. But Ali? No way. He wasn't playing that game. Long before anyone else believed it, he told the entire world exactly who he was. And I am the greatest? That wasn't just bragging. Think about it. It was a totally radical thing to do. To have that much self-belief in a world that wanted him to stay small. He was writing his own story. And that famous line of his, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, it tells you everything you need to know. It wasn't just about how he fought in the ring. It was a perfect metaphor for his mind. So quick and graceful, but man, it had a punch you never saw coming.
So, all that confidence, that self-belief, it wasn't just for show. It was about to be put to the ultimate test. And not in a boxing ring, but in a fight for his principles that was going to cost him pretty much everything.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You are the heavyweight champion of the world. You're at the absolute peak of your career, untouchable. And then you get a draft notice. Your country is telling you to go fight in the Vietnam War, a war that you believe deep down is completely wrong. I mean, the pressure must have been insane.
He said no. Just 2 words, but those 2 words shook the world. This wasn't the champion boxer talking anymore. This was a man of conscience. And he was taking a stand when it was the hardest, most unpopular thing you could possibly do.
And his reason wasn't just random protest. It came from a deep, deep conviction. He filed as a conscientious objector because he was a minister in the Nation of Islam, and he argued his religion literally forbade him from going to war. As he famously put it, his fight wasn't with the Viet Cong. His real fight was for justice and equality right here at home.
The fallout was brutal, and it was fast. They took away his boxing license, stripped him of his heavyweight titles, and he lost 3.5 years right in the middle of his prime. For almost any other athlete, that would have been it. Game over. Everyone thought he was finished.
But legends don't just fade away, do they? After years of being banned from the sport, Ali finally got his chance to return. And it led to one of the most legendary fights of all time. This wasn't just a comeback story, people. This was a flat-out resurrection. So he's up against George Foreman, who's younger, stronger, and everyone thinks he's unbeatable. And what does Ali do? He comes up with this brilliant, crazy strategy. He leans back on the ropes and just lets Foreman wail on him, absorbing all these powerful hits. He was literally letting his opponent punch himself out. He took Foreman's biggest strength, his power, and turned it into his biggest weakness. And then, he just waited for his moment to strike.
It was the perfect example of mind over muscle. The rumble in the jungle proved it once and for all.
Ali's most dangerous weapon was never his punch, it was his brain. He didn't just win a fight that day, he taught the whole world a lesson in strategy and psychology.
So when we look back, what's his real legacy? I mean, it's so much bigger than boxing, right? It's about what he stood for, what he became, and the lessons he taught all of us, inside the ring and out.
Even later in his life, when Parkinson's disease slowed his body down, his spirit was just as strong as ever. It's incredible, really. The man who was once the loudest voice on the planet became this powerful, silent symbol of grace and incredible strength, even when facing his toughest fight.
So what's the big takeaway from his life? Well, he showed us a few things. He showed us that real strength isn't about how hard you can hit, it's about having the guts to stand up for what's right, especially when no one's standing with you. He taught us that real courage is just being you unapologetically when the world wants you to be someone else. And that true greatness, it's not about the belts you win, it's about how you lift other people up.
At the end of the day, that's his ultimate message, isn't it? Ali didn't just change a sport. He completely changed what we thought an athlete could be, what a celebrity could be, what a citizen could be. He proved to a whole generation that your voice matters, that if you believe in something, one person, one voice can actually make a difference. His story is proof that a single voice really can change the world. He used his, no matter what it cost him. So that leaves us with one final simple question. How are you going to use yours?
If you like this video, subscribe for more videos like this.